Food tracking your calories, counting your macros, what's your protein target, how much carbs should you be eating, when should you be eating carbs, carb timing, how much fat should you be eating. Look, I get it. Counting your macros and tracking your calories can be tedious, time consuming, and overwhelming. So I've been counting calories for a little bit now, and I've also got a better understanding on nutrition from working with clients and working with other coaches and just applying all these principles on myself. So when it comes to counting calories, so when it comes to tracking your food, I've got a couple of tips and tricks that I've picked up along the way. And I like to use these tricks when times get tough, when I don't feel like doing it anymore, or you're feeling just a bit unmotivated, or like you're about to fall off the wagon. I like to lean on these tips and tricks to help me get through the hard times and navigate my way through the hard times of tracking food. So in this video, we're going to be nailing down my tips and tricks to make tracking food just a little bit easier. Let's go. Before we get into the video, welcome back to Starting Fitness, the #1 fitness podcast in the world. If you think it, nah. But welcome back to the show, welcome back to the podcast. If you're a returning listener, welcome back. This is your first episode. And my name is Tiki Harawira, and I'm the host of Starting Fitness Podcast. And in today's video, we're going to be going through our tips and tricks. Like always, like and subscribe. Share this video if you get any knowledge from it. And without further ado, let's hook into today's episode. Number one for making food tracking just a little bit easier is meal prep. Now, when people hear meal prep, they think bodybuilders, and they think it's only for them, and it's only for people who are competing, and they think it's only my professionals can do this thing. But that's far from the truth. Meal prepping is for everyone. It saves a lot of time, it's super convenient when you've got meals prep, and it makes food tracking a whole lot easier. Now, especially for workers, if you're working a full-time job and then putting aside an hour or so on your Sunday to prep out all your meals, it's going to save you so much time and make you less likely not to fall off track because you'll have meals all prepped up. Now people will say that putting an hour or so to the side for meal prep to prep all your meals is time consuming. But if you really think about it, how long it takes you to prep meals throughout the week. So let's say it takes about 30 to 45 minutes to make your lunch if you're doing it from scratch, and 30 minutes to do your dinner. And if you times that by over 5 nights, that's 5 hours. 1 hour a day prepping meals, like doing your lunches and doing your dinners. Now if you just put an hour or so aside, okay, for me it takes about an hour and a half, if that. That's me being generous. It takes about an hour for me to prep all my meals. And I prep my breakfast, my lunches, my second lunch, and then I'll make a little bit extra for my snacks and stuff. And you do all that on Sunday, and you've got all your meals prepped. Another reason why it's so good is convenience. You're less likely to fall off track or go off the wagon when you've got meals already, when you put aside these meals for you for your day. And you also save heaps of money. Like if you're working, if you've got a full-time job and you're going to work and you're buying lunch out, it's so hard to find calorie-friendly food that are low in calories, calorie-friendly, that are high in protein and don't have all the other fluff. There's not many places we can go. We can get a nice, decent meal that are calorie friendly. Now, another reason why meal prepping is so good, it keeps you on track. When you get home from work, you have a long day at work, and you can't be bothered cooking. You look into the fridge and you've got your meals all prepped out. There you go. You're not going to go on Uber Eats and order a pizza or order something that you shouldn't be eating at this time, whatever your goals are. So because your meals are there and they're ready, it's going to keep you on track and it's going to keep you accountable and keep you happy, because you're not going to binge eat, or you're not going to grab something and make a silly mistake because you're a little bit tired. So that's tip number one, prep your meals. So a little side note on that tip is be creative with your meals. You don't have to be eating bland chicken, plain rice and steamed broccoli to make this work. There's so many recipes out there where you can make super tasty meals and super nice meals that fit your macros. There's heaps out there. You can search them up on YouTube and TikTok on different ideas and high protein ideas, and gone are the days where people just eat bland chicken. Especially if you're a competitive bodybuilder, then go for it. But if you're just an average Joe like me who wants to shed a couple of kgs, then make nicer meals. This will also keep you on track because so for myself, the meals that I eat every day, which I meal prep and I track, I look forward to them. Like my breakfast, I look forward to. It's like a pudding. I have protein oats, and every morning I'm looking forward to my oats. And my lunch is a mince with couscous. Every morning or every lunchtime, I'm looking forward to my lunch. And that's because I choose meals that I like, and I find ways where I can make these meals a bit more calorie friendly. And this helps me adhere to the eating plan and helps me stay in it for the long haul. So prep your meals and be more creative when you're prepping these meals. Choose the foods that you like, and you don't have to have boring chicken and plain food when you're meal prepping. So that's tip number one, with a little bit of bonus tip to add on to that. Now tip number two, to make food tracking just a little bit easier, use an app. Gone are the days where people write down everything and they guesstimate, and so the apps, there's plenty of them. It depends whatever you want to use. I use MyFitnessPal. So MyFitnessPal is one of the generalized, it's a fan favorite. Another good one is Macro Mike's, and another one is Calorie King. There's heaps of them out there, but whichever one you use them, because it helps with accuracy and it helps with time. Like, it makes it way more faster when you're using these tracking apps. Now for MyFitnessPal, you can scan. Like, the beauty of MyFitnessPal now, it's these days you can scan the barcode of certain foods, and most foods are on MyFitnessPal. You just got to look for the little green tick, which means it's been verified. So it's a verified food item. So the calories are pretty on the money. Like, it's a rough estimate, but they're pretty good. So MyFitnessPal is a good one. Now another thing to add on to this tip is use scales. So you need to buy scales. Like, people underestimate how much food they're actually eating from guessing. Especially if you're a beginner, if you haven't done this for very long and you're guessing, oh, that looks like 200 grams of chicken. If you're doing this guesswork, then you're leaving a lot of calories on the table. So if you've done this before and you've got a better understanding, then go for it. But for us beginners, we need to be weighing our food. You can't be guessing how much oats is in your oats, because you may be 100 to 200 calories off, and that 100 to 200 is going to make the difference if you're going to lose weight or gain weight. So using an app, using the scanner on the app, and using a scale to accurately log the food that you're trying to log in. Because I use MyFitnessPal, I've got a cheat sheet for MyFitnessPal that I use to help food tracking just a little bit easier. Now, cheat sheet number one for MyFitnessPal is creating saved menus. Now, most apps, I don't know if other apps, but MyFitnessPal, you're able to create your own meals. So when you're first getting into it, you have to know, like, most people eat the same meals over and over again, and that's another tip, is eat the same meals over and over again. But most people do. So when you know what meals you're eating, there's a section on the app where you can type in your saved meals, and you can create your whole meal. So for dinner last night, we had chicken kebabs with roast potatoes and roast sweet potato, and we tend to have that a lot. So what I do is I go to save meals, I create a meal, and then I add all the meals in. So I don't really worry about all the little stuff like spinach and all the low calorie stuff, spinach, tomatoes, all that. I just add in all the bulky stuff like the chicken, the sweet potato, the potatoes, the rice, or you add in the stuff that you think that will be quite high in calories. That's what I add in. And once you've got all your meals in, you add in all the meals, And then it's that easy to add a meal in. So then you know you're going to have your protein oats, you just click protein oats. You know you're going to have your chicken and veg for lunch, you just click your chicken and veg. It's that easy. We don't have to make it, we don't have to keep re-adding the same meals in over and over again. If you take a few minutes out of your time, maybe a half an hour, and you put in these foods, you put in your saved meals, you put in your meals that you usually have, and then you save them in your logbook. And this makes it a little bit easier and a little bit less time consuming when we're counting our macros, counting our food. Now, hack number 2 for MyFitnessPal. So what I do is, because I eat the same thing for breakfast, for lunch, and my snacks, and even my second lunch, they're all the same. Every day I always eat the same thing, which helps me stay on track. And I know my numbers already because I've been doing it for however long. I know that these are the numbers that I need to hit, to get good amounts of protein and everything else. And I'm still under my calories. And I'm full, I'm satiated, I'm not hungry all the time, but I'm still under my calories. Now, because I eat all the same meals, what I do is, there's a feature on MyFitnessPal where you can re-add your breakfast. I don't know why it's only your breakfast, but it's your breakfast. So you'll see here, when you type in your breakfast, the next day it'll say re-add the same breakfast. So what I do is, I'll put all my food that I always eat in the same day, the same food I always eat in the day, I'll put this all in the breakfast section. So every day I'll know how much calories I have to play with. So my dinners are always different, but I'll know that by the time I fill out all my food in my breakfast aisle, I'll have about 700 calories left, and that's what I'll use for dinner and any other little snacks or sauces that I want to use. So then every morning, every day, when I go to the next day, it'll say re-add breakfast. I just swipe add, and then all my food comes back, and I can just do this over and over again. And this helps me, again, stay on track, and it gives me a better, I know how much calories I have to play with for dinner. So tonight I've got about 800 calories left because I left something out. Then I can make a meal around 800 calories. I'll put my protein in first, which is your most important, and then you figure out what else you want. So for dinner, I think we're having mince, like burger patties. So I put in my mince, which is quite high calories, and then I'll spit out what I have left. Then I'll have either potatoes or whatever you want. So those are my 2 hacks for MyFitnessPal: is save meals and adding your day-to-day food, like the food that you always eat in the breakfast section. Those are my 2 tips. Those are the 2 hacks, quote-unquote hacks for MyFitnessPal. Now, tip number 3 to make calorie counting just a little bit easier. Tip number 3 is fit it in. Now, again, people think when they go on a diet or when they start tracking their food, that they have to eat boring, plain food like chicken and rice, and they have to eat. The thought is they think that they have to eat just this bland food, and they think they have to restrict themselves from everything that they love. And what I mean by fitting it in is, if you have a favorite chocolate, or you have a favorite, I don't know, if you love lasagna, or if you like pasta, or you like anything, whatever you like. If you like McDonald's, if you like Subway, it's fit it into your numbers. So what if I know that me and Sam are going to go out for dinner that night? So let's say we go out. Zambria is one of our favorites. First, before I put anything else in my food, in my tracking, in my app, I'll put in the Zambrios, because most takeaways have their food on MyFitnessPal, on most tracking apps. So what I'll do is, in the morning I'll put down Zambrios, and it'll, like burrito or whatever it is, and it'll be about, I don't know, let's say 1,000 calories. So now that I've got that in there, I work the rest of my day out, whether I skip a meal or I take something out or I add something in, or I work the rest of my numbers around that one meal. And it may be off, you might be just a little bit over on your numbers, but at least you've got that meal in. And you didn't, like, let's say if you didn't do this early in the morning and you try to fit it in, you've done the rest of your day not as per normal, and then you got to dinner and you only had 300 calories left, and then you thought, fuck it, I'm gonna have this burrito anyway. So then you eat this burrito, and then you're way over on your calories, and then that's a day that you've lost just because you just didn't think about the future and didn't put in the homework to figure this out and fit your numbers around these food. So fitting it in, whatever it is, whether it's a chocolate bar, you got a sweet tooth and you need to have this chocolate, or you need to have this yogurt or this pudding or whatever it is, fit them into your numbers. And what this does is it helps you stick to your diet or stick to your plan, because ideally you want to be doing this forever. You need to get this 6-week challenge thing out of your head, because ideally we'd like to be able to eat relatively healthy or eat like this forever and stick to it forever. And the only way we can do it is if we can adhere to it. The only way we can adhere to it is if we enjoy the foods that we're eating. So if you're over restricting yourself, you know, if you're a chocolate lover and you tell yourself, I'm never going to eat chocolate again, eventually you're going to want to eat chocolate, and instead of just having one piece and fitting it into your macros, you're going to binge and have a whole box or have a whole block or whatever. And then that's when the slippery slope comes. So tip number 3, fit it in. Another tip to making tracking your food just a little bit easier is banking calories. There's a technique I like to call banking calories. So I picked this up from another YouTuber, a fitness YouTuber, this Australian guy from Canberra. I think his name is Lee Lam. Anyway, he has this thing called banking calories. So it's similar to fitting it in, but banking calories, what he does is, if he knows he's going out for dinner, or he's going out drinking that evening, or even if you just want to have a big, you know, something big and hearty for dinner that evening, what he does, and then what I do now, is he saves up calories for that event. So let's say it's a Saturday, and I know that me and Sam are going to go have a couple of drinks, and we're going to have a cup, like, you know, have some nice food, or we're going to go to a restaurant or something. What I like to do is I like to save about between 1,000 to 1,500, or depending how big the night's going to be, but I like to save about 1,000 calories for that evening. So if you've got 1,000 calories saved, which should be plenty of calories, even if you want to go to the safe side, 1,500 to 2,000, whatever it is, however big of a night you're going to have, I'll save those calories for that event. So then I'll skip a meal during the day, and then the rest of my calories, I'll try and hit my protein target, and then just try and fill it in however I can to keep satiated for that day. And this is the same thing. This will help me adhere to this diet and adhere to this lifestyle and stick to it over a long period of time. And it allows you to go out with your friends and go out with your loved ones and enjoy barbecues and enjoy nights out. And you know, if you're not a competitive bodybuilder and you're trying to cut weight like drastically, then going out, you can still go out and enjoy yourself and still have a life outside of the gym. So your social life doesn't get a hit, your life with your partner doesn't get a hit. And yeah, because we're not bodybuilders and we're not training to compete, then we can allow ourselves to have a life. You know, you don't have to be a Nigel No Friends and not do anything because you don't want to go over on your numbers. So yeah, banking calories, that's a good one if you like a night out, or you know, like a drink or two. Now my final tip, which is probably the most important, is be kind to yourself. Now when we're on this journey, it's easy to, you know, talk down on yourself when you slip up, or when you've gone over on your calories, or you haven't hit your protein target. Or we're all learning this as we go, and that's one of my biggest tips, is to be kind to yourself. Let yourself fail, and when you do fail, you get back up, you dust yourself off, and you try again, and you try and be better the next time, and you just keep learning. It's a never-ending learning process. I've been doing this for ages, and I've slipped up heaps, you know. I've been hard on myself. Like, I won't hit my protein target one day, and I'll go over my calories by, you know, I won't hit my calorie target, and I'll be down, and I'll be, you know, a bit too hard on myself. When, like I said before, if you're not competing, what's the rush? All you have to do is go back to the drawing board, do what you were doing before, and just keep going. And then over the long haul, if you're just consistent with it, and you keep going over and over and over, and you're just, you know, more consistent with your numbers, then the results will come. This all or nothing mentality, this all or nothing attitude, is what's going to hinder and probably take away from your goals. Because people who have this all or nothing mentality and who are too hard on themselves, when they slip up, they slip way down, and they think, oh fuck it. You know, let's say they slipped up on a Thursday, they'll be like, oh fuck it, I'll get back on it on Monday. I'll start again on Monday. And that's the wrong. And when you do it like that, you're going to waste those days from Thursday to Sunday, because you've just said fuck it, because you've done one slip up. Whereas if you had have just jumped back on track and then Friday you just started back again, you would have only lost the Thursday. So if you're a bit kinder, and then you accept the fact that we're humans, we make mistakes, we slip up, but that's the beauty of it, that it's a never ending, it's an infinite game, and there's no winning or losing, it's just learning. So when you slip up, you learn and you try and get better, and then you try and get better every day. So, and if you do this consistently enough, you show up day in, day out, you prove to yourself that you can do this, then the results will come. You'll lose the body fat, you'll put on the muscle, you'll get the strength, you know, all of the above. You'll get everything if you're kind to yourself and you stay in it consistently. Anyway, those are my tips. Those are my top tips for making food tracking just a little bit easier. At first it may be scary and overwhelming, but I promise you, the more you do it, the easier it gets, the less tedious and time consuming it becomes, because you get better at it. And yeah, it's a skill. The more you do something, the better you get. So keep at it, whānau. Keep showing up every day, and you'll thank yourself and the results will come. Nami, have a good day. Peace.